How is it going, everyone? I want to give you guys yet another update on Helldivers 2 and its concurrent player count, which is insane that the concurrent player count continues to heighten when the server is capped at 450,000 players. Now, I know there's a lot of people getting on, now they are leaving the game on the menu trying to get in, or there are people that are just leaving their PC on. We're only looking at Steam concurrent player counts, by the way. So I get that number is a little, Potentially that number is a little bit heightened by people just going AFK and then people trying to get on, so on and so forth, but the game has just hit a major milestone of it being the top played game on Steam. As of recording this video, Counter-Strike 2 and Helldivers 2 are neck and neck. Helldivers 2 peaked at 450,000 players and change. Counter-Strike 2 was at 445,000 players. All I'm saying is Helldivers 2 is a game that has quite greatly exceeded expectations, and primarily this video is going to be more of a discussion assessing why, and I think Helldivers 2 can be a case study for a lot of other live service games. I'm not saying that it's a game that all other live service games can copy, because there's never a one-size-fits-all solution for these live service games, but there were a couple of games that recently came out, particularly Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, particularly Skull and Bones, that I really disagree with some of those elements of the game, and I think Helldivers 2 does a lot of things right, particularly the price point. Now, we can say everything about the server issues and things like that. We're a broken record with that talk. If you want to hear more about it, we're doing update videos pretty regularly. Stay tuned. I'm sure there's going to be a patch dropping here in the near future, and we'll continue to update things as the servers change and things improve, things get worse potentially. Who knows what's going to happen as more and more people check out the game. But as Helldivers 2 has been a game that a lot of you guys have been playing, I've decided to recently also play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I don't know why. I'm trying to get into this rhythm where this year I'm playing through every major game that does drop this year. I generally do try to play most of them every year, but sometimes I do miss a few. I'm one person at the end of the day, but really try my best to play every single major title this year, and Helldivers 2 obviously was taking up quite a lot of time, because while there have been server issues, the game also, for me, has been primarily working. I also do have a full squad of people to play with, so that game has eaten up a lot of my time, but since I played a lot of Helldivers 2, decided to circle back, play some Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and you know what? As crapped on as that game is, and obviously the expectation that was set in place, and you cannot tell me that it is a new Rocksteady, that's why the game is so much different. You couldn't be expecting a Rocksteady game. Guys, this game was promoted. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, that is. It is literally promoted in the description of the game from the creators of Batman Arkham. I don't care if the studio has greatly changed. A lot of people are not going to know that. People are going to interpret it as, oh, this is from the creators of Batman Arkham. It's going to be fantastic, like Batman Arkham. Yes, I get it that Rocksteady has shifted quite a bit, but if you're promoting the game as from the creators of Batman Arkham, you're setting yourself up for disappointment when you're talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and what kind of game it is. But actually playing the game, I don't think it's a terrible game. I don't think most people think it's a terrible game. It's just a fine game. There's nothing to write home about with it. The traversal is kind of fun. The gameplay loop is kind of enjoyable. It is incredibly repetitive. And overall, the game is just a perfectly serviceable open-world action title. However, with that being said, a serviceable open-world action title is fine at a budget price point, and I think Helldivers 2 really nailed that. And Helldivers 2 is much more than a serviceable action game. It offers a lot of chaos, it offers a lot of originality, and it offers a lot of zaniness that I don't think Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League offers. However, when I look at a game like Suicide Squad, and I particularly examine that one because it's the one I'm playing right now, and then you also look at Skull and Bones, both of these games went the live service model, and more importantly, both of these games were $70 releases. Not only were they $70 releases, we talk about managed democracy in Helldivers 2. I think it would do a lot for some of these publishers to have some managed greed. Maybe not full-on greed. I get it that it's a business, but you don't have to do so many greedy aspects that push people away from checking out the game, because I think with Helldivers 2, yes, it does have in-game microtransactions, it does have things that you can buy in-game, but it was a $40 budget title that's gonna have free content updates. In the case of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Skull and Bones, these were both $70 games. Not only that, they had the fake early access gimmick baked into it. that if you spend $100 it was for the deluxe edition, you get the game early. Quote unquote early, it's not really early access. The people that dare to spend $70 get gated away. I know for those of you guys that have been watching this channel for quite a while, I know it's something I say often, but I think it is worth reiterating just because there's so many new people watching this channel. That early access gimmick you see tied to games, whether it be a Skull and Bones, whether it be a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Last year, I know Warner Brothers made a killing off the early access gimmick being tied to Hogwarts Legacy, and guess what? Warner Brothers also published Suicide Squad. Funny how that works. At the very least, Hogwarts Legacy wasn't inundated with a lot of microtransactions and didn't have in-game purchases, but I digress. So, you're talking about Suicide Squad, a game that's $70, early access gimmick, and it's got microtransactions available. Is it just cosmetics? Sure, it's cosmetics, but it's still got microtransactions. At this point, I think you are pushing it too far. You are not having managed greed. I think it would do a lot of publishers good if they do have a little bit of managed greed, and I know that sounds hilarious. Look, we're all gonna be a little greedy, and a business's creation is to make money, but I think if you have a little bit of managed greed, instead of going the $70 early access deluxe edition and the microtransaction route, scale that back a little bit. And obviously this information is going to be anecdotal, but Helldivers 2 is a $40 release, and I had a lot of friends interested in this game based on its budget price point. I think $40 is a very attractive option. You could buy from other retailers for a little bit cheaper, but it's not $60 or $70. And again, anecdotes can only go so far, but I think that $40 price tag really did attract a lot of people into the game. Not only that, once you attract somebody into the game, once you get their foot in the door, at that point, they're going to be interested in the game, and you're going to open up this live service experience to a larger amount of people. Oh, guess what? If you have a larger amount of people that are playing a live service game, that's a larger pool of people to pull from that will potentially spend money. And again, anecdotes here, but the majority of my friends that have picked up Helldivers 2 also ultimately spent money on the game. I don't understand why, because most of the content you can get just playing the game, but nonetheless, they wanted the Steeled Veterans War Bond. They ended up spending money. They got the 2,000 super credits. So even though Helldivers 2 is a $40 game, right off the rip, at least in my experience talking to people, a lot of my boys all spend $60 on the game already, so they're already $60 invested into Helldivers 2, and this doesn't even go into them spending money on future content updates. So with Helldivers 2, I don't know how these super credits are selling, I don't know how many people have sunk money into the game, but when you have a larger pool of people to work from, you're gonna make more money on the back end. And I would imagine that companies like Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, and all these people, they've done studies on this, and there's a reason why they go the full-on greed mode with the $70, the early access gimmick, and microtransactions all being baked into a game. But I would have to think that if a game like Skull and Bones was priced at like $30 or $40, and I get it, Skull and Bones has a lot of gameplay issues from a fundamental standpoint that the price point is not going to resolve, but I look at a game like Suicide Squad Skull and Bones, I'm like, man, wouldn't a $30 to $40 price point for this game attract more people into the game? Now, don't get it twisted with Skull and Bones. Ubisoft, I don't know what they were doing. They're shooting themselves in the foot right out the gate by not releasing that game on Steam, and I think not doing that for a PC-centric game like a Skull and Bones, these live service games are really PC-centric in my opinion. You know, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. I get it, they're trying to pop off with Ubisoft Connect and their subscription service, but why not release the game on Steam so people can buy it if they do want? If they want to go the subscription model, they can go on Ubisoft. And there's a lot to dissect with that all, but I just question why a lot of these games have to go the full-on $70 early access and microtransaction route. I think 2 out of the 3 is whatever, and 1 out of the 3 would be ideal. Helldivers 2 has 1 out of the 3. It's a game that does have some microtransactions where you can buy the super credits. I think it's done very judiciously, but you can buy the super credits. It's not a $70 game. It didn't have the early access gimmick tied into it, and I get it, the early access gimmick, that's only relevant for a couple of days. Is it make or break? No, but I feel like that does showcase the level of greed we're working at, and I just hate the early access gimmick so much. I hate the early access gimmick more than my parents hate me, so it's like I hate the early access gimmick, so, like, obviously, I'm always gonna bring that up, but I just think that's a good showcase of where they're thinking, and obviously they're trying to generate a lot of money, and I'm sure for WB, it was incredibly lucrative with Hogwarts Legacy, but when you're doing $70, when you're doing early access to try to get people to buy the $100 edition, and then you're doing microtransactions on top of that. I just think it's crazy, and I think if you scale that back a little bit with these live service games, it'll be more effective. And I don't look at just Helldivers 2. I get it that these were early access games. A Pal World and an Enshrouded, we'll see how Nightingale does, but those were two survival games, but those games were priced at $30, $27 at launch for Pal World, and I think that attracted a lot of people into Pal World as well. I think Pal World's price will ultimately go up, but, you know, for the time being, it's $27, and Helldivers 2 being $40 as a full release, I think that was a big reason why the game did so well. I think it would have done okay at $60, but I don't think it would have done as well as it's doing now. And again, with a game like Divers 2, you've sold so many copies at this point, and I do think an element of that was the attractive price point. You're gonna end up making a lot of money on the back end by the people that do spend money in-game, because you are now working with a larger pool of people that are potentially gonna spend money in-game. And we do know that Helldivers 2 is gonna have content updates, and Divers 2 is a digital-only title. Maybe, I don't know how it would have done. Obviously, it's something we'll never know, but what if Suicide Squad was a digital-only $40 release? Would it do better? I don't know. Maybe some people would get upset that Rocksteady, a studio that had done AAA single-player games, would do a budget title, a multiplayer game, and that would have been a bad look in its own right. I don't know. I think it's a discussion worth having in terms of price point, live service games, and this idea of managed greed. I'm kind of coining that term, but I think greed is always going to be an element of any company, any business, but I think managed greed is going to get you a lot further than all-out greed with some of these games where they are doing the trifecta of early access, you know, with the deluxe edition and then $70, which $70 games, I don't have that big of a problem with. Games are going up in $10. They've been $60 for so long. It is what it is, but then you throw in microtransactions, and are games really, are they actually $70? I look at an Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and that game's season pass is like $40. Like, $40 season pass for a single-player game before the game even comes out? Like, what are we doing here? But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments section down below. I know a little all over the place. Let me know what attracted you to Helldivers 2, and how big of a factor was the price point. And when you guys were going into buying Helldivers 2, you didn't know if you were gonna enjoy it or not. So did that $40 price tag lure you in a little bit more? And I think it is something worth studying here for other publishers, where they are doing these live service games where they can be $70 and still have microtransactions, incentivizing deluxe editions with fake early access. Just think we can have a little bit of managed greed, and it'll go a long way. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.